Yeah. I think we should lay down on our backs. Yeah, it feels like one of those kind of days. So just lay down onto your back. And once you lay down, close your eyes. Can you guys hear me through the mic? Yeah, I feel like now you can. Change the mood. So we lay down onto our backs. We close our eyes. Go ahead and open your feet out toward the edges of the mat. And take your arms a little bit away from your body. There's a little bit of space between your body and your arms, so your hands rest on the floor. And then turn your palms to face up. What we're trying to do here is just lay ourselves out so that our bones can settle. There are natural curves in the spine. When we widen the arms a little bit, we have a better ability to get the shoulder blades to sit flat and the collarbones to widen. And there's a little more ease in the hips when the legs separate just the littlest bit. Take a moment just to appreciate the process of what's happening for you right now. And then draw your attention to the tip of your nose. And just begin to be aware of the breath as it enters your body. And I imagine it's a pretty common thing that the breath feels cool when it comes in. And that's because your body is typically 98.6 degrees. And the room is probably 77 degrees, 76 degrees. So there would be a difference in the temperature. And you can feel that coolness, not just at the tip of the nose, but you can almost feel it all the way across the upper palate. And once the air actually makes it through the nasal passages into your airway and down into your lungs, it's already starting to warm itself. So when it enters the lungs, it's no longer as cold. And I want you to keep drawing your awareness to that coolness across the roof of the mouth. And it's not quite inside the mouth, in the roof, that's actually getting cold. The other side. the upper palate, the one that faces upward toward the skull. Can you guys feel that, or am I crazy? Now that space right there in the upper palate is the underside of your brain. And so I want you to stay there for a moment with your attention, your awareness, and see if you can purposefully start to soften that part of you. For me, it helps a lot if I separate my lips and relax my jaw. As the upper jaw, the joint, creates tension in the region. And when you can start to feel the let down and the let go of that clenching of the jaw, you can start to feel that softness across the region. And then I invite you to think about relaxing the eyes into the eye socket. We have a lot of little muscles, fast twitch muscles around the eyes, and just simply closing them can start a process of relaxation there and rest. But there's also a softening that can allow the eye to rest into the space in which it abides. And as you breathe softly but deeply, the pressure begins to change in the sinuses. And even in the tiny little space that exists between the top of your brain and your skull. See if you can just feel for those subtle little pressure changes on the inhalation and the exhalation. Can anyone feel that? Just raise one hand. Pick up, yeah. Okay. And if you're still looking for it, it's subtle. It takes a real presence, and it also takes practice. So you stick with what you feel. The coolness on the tip of the nose, or the space along the upper palate under the brain, or the space above the brain, and in between the skull, the softening in the back of the eyes. And the purpose in walking you through this level of relaxation and awareness is that if we could feel these kind of subtle changes just in this little region, from the nose up, could you imagine how beautifully and how detailed the experience is in the rest of your body every time you breathe? So if you start to travel down into the throat, and the neck, and the shoulders, start to explore another region and the effects of the breath on the body. This level of deep exploration on the inside is amazing for us in terms of our relationships with our bodies. But it's also a really deep and beautiful journey for your mind. And so I'm asking you today to get out of your head and into your body in the most subtle way. Not the big, gross, obvious movements in your musculature and in your bone structure, but a discipline in the mind to peel away the layers and to abide in the more subtle experience. And so we come down from the head into the shoulders, neck, and chest. And we breathe on the front and the back, and even under the armpit. And I notice already in your bodies that your breath has expanded a little bit. You've made it a little bit bigger, and that's so beautiful. Like you want to feel it just a little bit more. And so don't be afraid to lengthen the inhalation and really fill up. And then see what it feels like to really empty out. And the energetic and, energetic experience in the body is not always easy to capture. You can feel the weight of your arms and the softness of your fingers. And just for a moment, acknowledge this sense of deep rest. And I'd like you to take your right hand and just place it just above your navel, just right above the belly button. Let it rest there. And then take your left hand and let it rest on the chest. And just take a moment to, with the sensitivity in the palms of the hands, just feel for the heartbeat and the breath. Hi, Marty. Welcome. So we're just laying in Shavasana. We just brought the right hand to the belly and the left hand to the heart. We are laying in stillness and playing with the subtleties of what's happening beneath the surface, just to get you kind of caught up. Let the whole hand just really embrace and touch the body. So if any of your fingers are sticking up, see if you can let them kind of gently embrace where they land. Yeah. And then breathe into the handprints. And you feel movement under both of your hands. I'm just going to take 2 more breaths here. And then I'd like you to peel your hands off your body and take them out like a T. Oops. So straight out from the shoulders, palms facing upward. And then can you still feel where your handprints were? Can you continue to breathe right into those same places where human touch just existed? And even moving the arms up and out like a T, as opposed to having them by your sides, you can feel a different level of access for the breath. And so take advantage of the space. Breathe up and into the side body, into the lungs, into the back. And we'll take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, I want you to lift the arms off of the ground and just cross them over the chest. Give yourself a big hug. Wrap the arms around you. So your hands come around to the backside of the shoulder. And then continue to breathe here. And you may notice that the weight of your arms on your chest actually creates a little resistance for the breath. And so I want you to be willing to push up into that resistance. Now, wrapping of the arms across the front body actually opens up the space between the shoulder blades on the back body. And I want you to continue to breathe right through there. We don't have to push the arms into the chest to make it harder to breathe. You just feel the weight of them. And resistance for any one of your muscles is actually a really good thing. We maintain our elasticity and our muscle tone and our strength when we use a little bit of resistance. So even here, the weight of the arms on the chest, meaning every time that your chest rises, it is pushing up against a little bit of resistance. And every time your back ribs fill up and your lungs expand, that hard mat beneath you is also creating a little bit of resistance. So believe it or not, you are strengthening your breathing right now. And again, I come back to sort of the undercurrent of the practice today is to get out of our heads and into our bodies in a more subtle way. And then to watch the effects of the breath. And creating that discipline for the mind. Go ahead and take a moment to open your eyes and look and see which one of your arms is on top. You all obviously crossed in different ways. And so you're going to go ahead and let that go. Open the arms back out like a T. Feel the pressure release off of the front of the chest and the shoulders. Can you feel that? It's kind of sweet. And just feel the movement of the breath. That deep relationship with the breath. And then we come back in and cross the other arm on top. So we just switch it up and we wrap around, crossing the elbows and reaching the fingers around toward the back side of the body. And for this particular round, I want you to try to squeeze in just a little bit tighter. See if you can inch the fingers just around just a little bit further. And then feel the rise and fall of the breath. Notice where there might be a little resistance and where there is freedom. It takes discipline to stay present in this kind of work. It's very easy to cross over the threshold to sleep. And so you need to focus on the subtleties, how the breath is touching you internally. You can go back to one of the things that I brought to your attention, like the coolness on the underside of the brain, or the space between the brain and the scalp and the skull, or the way the chest pushes up against the weight of the arms. Or you can continue to explore more deeply as your awareness moves from the crown of your head, from the tip of your nose down into the shoulders and into the lungs. You may notice that the spaces between your ribs expand on the inhalation, and then they soften on the exhalation. The ribs wrap around to the back side of the body and they connect to your spine. So when you breathe, you actually create a little bit of movement up and down the spine. So this journey inward is purposeful. You will learn a lot about your own physical form and discipline your mind to stay in the more subtle experience of living in this body. What do you notice? Let's take one more breath here. And then start to loosen the grip on your fingers and open the arms out like a T. Again, just feeling that release of energy out through the arms, out through the fingers. Freedom of space for breath to move. Now I'd like you to turn your palms to face down. They'll stay out like a T, but just rotate the shoulder so the palms face down toward the floor. You can almost feel how the upper arm bone turns in toward the collarbone. So we're creating just a little subtle resistance there, because normally the collarbones rise on the inhale, but it's not so easy for them to rise here. See if you can notice. And then we'll bend our knees and step our feet out to the edges of the mat. Let's take a clearing breath. That was our first real movement, So the circulation is changing. A big inhale, maybe an open mouth sigh on the exhale. And then leaving your feet wide at the edges, go ahead and drop both knees to the right side. And as your legs drop over to the right, I want you to take your left hand, bend the elbow, and slide your fingertips under your lower back. So that arm has taken on a completely new position. It's internal rotation. And sometimes we just tuck the hand under the lower back, but some of you, depending on your shoulder flexibility, you could slide the hand all the way under. Your fingertips could stick out the other side of your waist. Right? Or not. So Jim, make sure you have one foot on either edge of the mat. Yeah, like that. Better. And so left palm is down, left forearm is sliding under, and we breathe. So there's an internal rotation that goes on in the left shoulder, and then we're going to take the right arm, bend the elbow so then the palm faces up, and take that arm up and over your head. So we have one arm in flexion, one in extension, one internally rotated and one externally rotated. Andrea, bring the left arm back down. Keep that one tucked under. And then yeah, there you go. And we have repositioned the body, but I ask you to do the same work. Stay within the subtle sensations that still exist from the crown of your head all the way down to the belly. Did the breath stop for some reason because you reorganized your bones? Did you mind travel? Even this level of deep stillness doesn't have the same effect as all of the movements and all of the stretches. It has different value. Regeneration, detoxification, discipline, awareness. I'm sometimes amazed when I do a practice like this. I slow it down and I start to really feel for those subtleties. I've learned so much more about my anatomy. Even if I can't name all the parts that I feel, I become so much more aware. And there is no part of us that is separate from any other. This life that we're living in this body is all connected. There's so much talk about how stress affects our health. And again, how when the body is not well, how that affects our mind. We are in deep relationship on a cellular level. When we're in this stillness and we hold for this long, coming out, there's a sort of a dull stiffness that goes with the release. So I want you to just be sensitive with yourself. So we'll go out the same way we came in. We're just going to take the right arm down. Just kind of feel the re-rotation, right? The changing of that position. And then slowly and carefully slide the left arm out from under you and turn that palm to face up. Let it rest out to the side. You feel that? That's craziness. Not so subtle. And then we tip our knees back up to center. Even that, not so subtle. And then can you come back to that anatomical correct, where we began, with the legs sliding out just a little bit. They stay a little bit wide, the arms down by your sides, and the palms turn to face up. And so we return to the neutral so that you can return to the subtle. Let your legs slide out. Let them be nice and wide. And just take 2 or 3 breaths here where you can actually tune in a little bit to what's going on. Now we'll draw our attention toward the bottom of the rib cage. There is a sheath of muscle that lies just below the rib cage. It's got like a dome-like shape. On the inhalations, that dome drops, and on the exhalation, it rises back up. And we're talking about the diaphragm, and it doesn't mean do anything different to it. That actually means just watch it. When the dome drops, it makes the belly distend just the littlest bit. It makes the bottom of the rib cage widen. And you can almost feel how that muscle is responsible for the inhalation and the exhalation, for the drawing in of that breath through the tip of your nose. The diaphragm pulls the air into your body and then contracts and pushes the air back out of your body. So much of the time when we are in our heads and not in our bodies, our breath reverses. Just take a moment to watch it. And then we'll slide our arms out like a T. And turn those palms to face down. And then just simply bend your knees and place the soles of your feet wide toward the edges of the mat. And let your knees tip over to the left side. The feet stay wide, the knees kind of drop over. And just appreciate that for a moment and all the ways that that changes where your attention goes and how the breath moves. Sometimes pinching or stinging or pulling sensation arises in the body. You can adjust so that there's a little more ease. And then we turn. No, it already is. The right palm is turned down, so we bend the elbow and we start to slide the right arm in and under the back, into the small of your back. And your shoulder will determine how far you can stick it under there, and don't force it. Make sure your legs are relaxing completely to the left, that you're not holding them up in the air in any way. Let your legs fall. Let this fall in, let that go. Yeah. There you go. And the right arm is under your back. And then the left arm is going to palm face up, bend the elbow, and bring that up and over the head. And so what we have done is complex. We have flexion and extension going on in the shoulders. We have internal and external rotation going on in the shoulders. We have the same going on in the hips. All right, your right leg is turned in, your left leg is turned out. And so how does the repositioning of the body affect that subtle experience that you are having within? Did something change about the way the breath feels? And I know I'm asking you to look under the microscope, to look way past what happens on the surface. The journey inward to you. And you still feel for the movement of that diaphragm, that muscle under the rib cage, the major mover of the breath. And even though I'm drawing your awareness to the mover of the breath, can you still feel that little bit of coolness along the upper palate? Are you still relaxed in the jaw and deep in the eyes? And so we explore from the crown of the head all the way down to the bottom of the rib cage. And we're starting to explore a little more awareness and curiosity and consciousness into the hips and the pelvis. That same level of curiosity that we had in the experience just above the nose. That kind of work can be done all the way down through the body. We can't care for anything that we can't touch. And so with our minds and our awareness, we continue to touch and explore new parts of ourselves. Let's take one more breath here. And be really patient with yourself as we slowly find our way back out. And it'll just be the left arm first. Just that left arm. Bring it down by your side, palm facing up. Give your second to feel. And then we start to slide the right arm out. Turn the palm to face up and let it come to rest on the floor beside you. You can say it. Yeah. And just be with the shoulders for a moment. I know your legs want out. I know your hips and your lower back want out, but just like take a moment, make sure that the upper body feels like itself again, and then very gently start to tip those knees back up. I said there's always like that dull, kind of weird, achy transition. That is dense tissue that we're moving through. And then slide your legs out. Keep the arms out. The arms come a little bit down by your sides, with the palms facing up. And we return right to that starting point where it's a little easier to go back to the top of the head. Notice if something changed. Can you go back in and find that subtle pressure change with every breath? Can you feel for the rise and the fall of the collarbone? Can you feel for the spreading of the rib cage and how the ribs move the spine? And if you move your awareness down your spine, all the way down to the pelvis, we can start to move the breath down deep into the pelvic cavity and the abdominal cavity below the rib cage. And for a moment, let's go ahead and bend our knees. Draw the knees into the belly and squeeze them in tight. That's a deep flexion of your psoas. The psoas attaches in the back body and the lumbar spine. And it kind of moves down through the hip and then attaches to the front of your leg. So when you pull your knees in like this, you shorten that muscle. You don't feel it pulling. You feel it folding deep in the crease of the hip. And then if you squeeze a little more, you'll get your tailbone to come up, and maybe you can lift your head to your knees and just give a little stretch to your back, to your spine. Just kind of feel how nice that feels to stretch a little bit. We've been laying flat, so I want to take some of your body, your surface area, off the mat for a moment so we can change the sensations on the back body. And then gently lay the back of your head down. Feel the natural curves of your spine as you put your feet down. You can keep your knees bent and just place them down gently. And with your knees bent and your feet on the ground in conscious resting pose, the breath should come easy. And so this is an invitation to go into your belly. Feel the rise and the fall of the navel. In the ancient yoga traditions, it's said that as long as you keep that belly moving, you stay young. Did we know that the fountain of youth was in our bellies? And I believe that it actually means that when we breathe deeper, that we're healthier. And so allow a little bit of that movement from the diaphragm to expand into the abdominal cavity and even more down into the pelvic cavity. And what I'm asking you to look for is no different than the pressure change that happens up in the crown of your head is also happening down in your pelvic floor. If you're relaxed, you can feel a change in the pressure along the pelvic floor. There's a widening on the inhalation, and then a softening back into its form on the exhalation. Pretty certain that if you didn't come to yoga today, you wouldn't have noticed that in your own body. Can you guys feel that? Raise a hand if you can feel that. If you can't, try to relax a little bit more in the pelvis. Like try not to use your inner thighs. Try to just let your feet rest on the ground, relax your belly, and see if you can feel a little bit of pressure change. The very base, very bottom. I feel like there's a container that exists in us. And the beginning and the end of that container, the top and the bottom, are the crown of the head and the pelvic floor. And the breath moves through that space all the time. And we can lock down the energy and hold it and build it. And we can also soften the pelvic floor and the crown and let the energy move through us. And all day long, whether we know it or not, we are re-regulating our energy body through this space. Go ahead and move the soles of your feet toward each other and let your knees drop open. And then take both arms up and over your head. And see if you can just work on feeling your breath from the pelvic floor to the crown of the head. Imagine being so aware of your energy body that you could regulate your own energy, like your own way of feeling, your own environment. You can lock it down and armor up, or we can soften and we can set it free. In a state of openness, you can not only receive, but you can also release. So the soles of the feet are together and the knees are dropped open, Supta Baddha Konasana. And the arms are up and over the head. So we have opened up some space around the hip joint and the shoulder joint to allow breath to move through the body. Can you maintain that same level of awareness that you had just in that little region from the palate up to the crown? Could you feel the breath moving through this entire section of your body? Pelvic floor to crown, ribs, and belly and chest, upper back, in the most subtle ways. The coolness of the breath, the texture, the rhythm. What parts of you move freely? And maybe even more importantly, which parts of you don't? And could you set them free? Let the belly move. The major mover of your breath is in the diaphragm under the rib cage. And if it is not free to expand and contract, you're limiting your capacity for breath and oxygen, detoxification, and so many other amazing things that are happening. And so if you feel like you're drifting off to sleep, just pull your awareness back into something like the coolness on the tip of your nose or the pressure change at the pelvic floor. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. And then slowly and gently start to bring the arms down by your sides. Give the shoulders and the upper body a moment to restructure. And then slowly and gently bring your knees back up. You can draw the knees into the belly and give yourself a little bit of a squeeze. And then even as you change this position and the knees are on the belly and the pelvic floor is probably contracted, can you feel subtle differences in the way the breath can move in your body? And as you're holding your knees in and you're releasing any pressure in your lower back, can you just gently turn your head to the right? And then bring it around and turn it to the left and see if you can do it without lifting your head. Like, could you just let the back of your head roll against the floor? Again, to the right, a little pressure on the back of the head, and then roll to the left. And then we'll take both of our legs over to the right side as we continue to look to the left. Open our arms out like wings. Turn the palms to face up. And so every time we change the positioning of the body, can you do that little body scan? Follow the breath from the tip of your nose through all of the spaces that we've been noticing and feeling. That movement in the diaphragm related to and connected to that coolness across the palate. So all of this awareness and all of this connection is helping you feel like you exist and inhabit every nook and cranny of your own body. Go ahead and squeeze your knees in a little tighter. Pull them a little closer to the belly. Bring your heels a little closer to your bottom. And then you can kind of feel your left arm kind of reaching out to the left. You're looking at your left thumb. Now, could you take the left leg, which is your top leg, and just straighten it out to the right? Give yourself a little push through the left heel and a little reach through the left arm and see if you can feel the stretch expanding a little bit. So that little push through the left heel and that little reach through the left arm is just opening up the left side body. And we want to do it in a way that doesn't harden or make you lose sensitivity, but instead it increases your sensitivity. So that way. You're still, no, this, bend this for me. Put it back in the twist. Now extend it out toward Howie. Yeah. And this is going this way. So you're reaching like like that. Mhm. There you go. Get tingly here. Bring them down an inch or two. Yeah. Now straighten the leg. Just this one. Just straighten it. Mm-hmm. Tight. Yeah. You okay? Is that okay? And so it feels like you're stretching a little through your left leg, but you're looking at your left hand and stretching a little bit with your left hand. And then just can you tune into what's happening in the left side of your body? And increase sensitivity to one particular experience without hardening. I believe that this work transfers really well into life. We lose our sensitivity when our view is external. We lose our sensitivity when we are hardened. And watch what happens as you soften your left knee and both legs bend. Feel the whole thing soften. Notice how much more you can feel and be aware of. How much more access does your breath have? So both knees are bent. And then we slowly roll ourselves back to center. As you tip the pelvis back to center, there could be some stiffness, so work through it with your breath. And then draw both knees into the belly. Let's roll our head to the left, and then roll our head to the right. Again, just keeping the head on the floor. Do it again. Roll it to the left, and then roll it to the right. We'll keep it there. And lower your legs over to the left side. And so we spinal twist in the other direction. And try not to let your knees point away from you. Pull the knees up toward the belly. Squeeze the back of the knees a little bit. Keep your feet close to you. And just feel for the different sensations. And so I want you to reach a little bit more with the right arm. Make sure you're looking toward your right hand. And then the top leg, which is your right leg, is going to start straightening out to the left. And so one leg is still on top of the other. Your knees should still be kind of aligned with each other, but just the top one is straight. Think about that. You still need a knee, but the top leg is straight. Yeah. And you can enhance that a little bit by flexing the right heel and pushing it out to the left. And equal measure, start to reach with the right arm. And so because we start to create muscular energy, you can feel a little more in the right side of the body. You reach through the fingers, you push through the heel, and somehow the right side awakens. And even when there's something obviously physically happening in the body, can you continue to keep your awareness toward the more subtle things? Did this change the pressure in the pelvic floor? Yeah. Can you still have sensitivity toward the underside of your brain and the coolness of that air as it enters your body? All of these things are in your consciousness now. It's just a matter of if you will pay attention to them. That's kind of how yoga works. It awakens things, it draws new things into our consciousness, but then it's up to us if we're going to pay attention to them. We hone our skills of presence and sensitivity on a much more subtle level. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths here. As you finish your 3rd and final breath, just bend your right knee. And you bring your head back to center. And slowly guide your knees back to center. Yeah, you can say it. It's kind of crazy. And just let yourself settle. Your arms can come down by your sides. Your legs can slide out a little bit wide. We return to that neutral place where we began. Palms facing up. See if you can just feel it come over you, this feeling of just letting down and letting go. And then tune in. What do you notice? Allowing yourself to remember yourself in this state of deep relaxation is the exact way that you get to find it again when you need it. In this moment, I want you to feel for your skin stretching on the inhalation. And how it softens back to its shape and form on the exhalation. Like so many other parts of your body inside, pressure changes, muscle stretching and moving. Play for a moment with awareness around the elasticity of your skin. The largest organ in your body. The barrier of protection between you and your insides and the world. Incredible. You can feel the texture of your clothing on your skin. All of these little things are tools for re-regulation and presence. And so if tuning into the elasticity of the skin or the texture of your clothing on your skin could bring you back to this state of mind, could you imagine how useful that might be in situations when you don't feel like this? How the work you're doing here right now is making an impression. And the impressions that are made the most frequently and have our attention are the patterns that we're creating for ourselves. So if being in a stressed situation, all contracted and hardened and all up in your head is the pattern that we have created for ourselves, that's the easy one to find, the easy one to fall into. When you get out of your head and you get into your body and you feel for your breath and the subtleties that exist within that breath, you are changing your pattern. I'm going to ask you to turn yourself over onto your belly. You can leave your feet toward me and your head toward the back of the room, but just kind of flip yourself over. You can use your hands as a pillow, or you could turn your head to one side. Open your feet up just a little bit to loosen up the lower back. And feel for your breath. It's a downward facing Shavasana. If you're a belly sleeper, beware. And Jess and I are coming around with your towels. You may save them for after. We'll put them on the back of your neck. Okay, come on now. Don't be too. So the game begins again. Breathing against the mat beneath you. When the lungs expand and the ribs expand, can you feel your spine move? And does that expansion happen from the crown of your head all the way down to the pelvic floor? And what do you notice? Go ahead and take 3 long, slow, deep breaths. And really gently flip yourself back over onto your back. Maybe bend your knees or stretch or move in any particular way might be useful. I would think knees to the belly could be really helpful right now. Maybe you rock a little bit and bring yourself into fetal position on one side. Your own way, in your own time, when you feel ready. You kind of bring yourself up to seated. So the real question of the day is how are you? Yeah. So interesting how we feel when we rest, right? We get a little like, right? Not so up in here, but maybe just like a little bit more grounded, right? So I hope you walk that way today. Feel your feet on the ground. Let your breath move through you, and every once in a while, pause. Notice what you feel. See if you can maintain that connection of being inward just a little bit. And depending on the rest of your day, you may or may not be able to stay like that. The world will pull all of your attention right out of you. But if that's what happens, so be it. And know that you have skills. That maybe later in the day, when you have the opportunity, you can go back in again for a moment and not into the busyness that's in your head. I mean, into this experience of living in the body, the privilege that we get to live in this masterful, magical, mysterious thing. Like, how in the world does your heart beat all day long? How do you shut off and go to sleep and then wake up in the morning? When you stick something in your mouth, how do you process that? Use everything you can from it and get rid of what you don't. I mean, like, it's a miracle. Literally every breath we take is a miracle. But we forget. Maybe sometimes when we see a new baby born and we go, oh, look at it, it blinked. Like, it's breathing. Like we remember the miracle, right? But each and every one of us is a miracle every single day, right? Yeah. Bring your hands together at the heart. Take a long, slow, deep breath. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, peace, peace, perfect peace. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free. May the actions of my life and all of our lives somehow contribute to that happiness and that freedom for all, so that we may all know peace, peace, perfect peace. Namaste.